Good evening and welcome to the Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is January 6th, 2016. My name is Lynn and I'm your host. Thanks for joining me and welcome to what is beginning to be our fourth year of broadcasting FiberCast. So come on, get a project. This is all about sewing together for 60 minutes. It's amazing what we can accomplish together. Tonight we are going to be quilting. I know I said we were going to be doing dolls. I do have a doll to share with you later in this hour. About halfway through, I'll share that. But I decided that doll making is so new to me that it requires my full attention, and it's not very good for FiberCast. I wouldn't be talking much. So I'm going to be making those in addition to making quilts here on FiberCast, and I know that that's what most of you like to do. But I definitely will be talking dolls and showing dolls, and who knows, maybe we'll do more dolls on Patreon if there is a desire. I also want to show you my Merry Mayhem quilt. For anyone who did not do it, definitely go check out Merry Mayhem. It's the New Year's Day quilt. Love the design. I made the twin size quilt, and I'll also show you that later on. But right now, I am digging out of my UFOs. I also finished a UFO that I'll have to show you. But right now, I brought out of hiding a UFO that I had from our trip to the Missouri Star Quilt Company. My sister bought me this pattern, Goodnight Irene. We saw it made up in one of Missouri Star's many stores out there in Hamilton, Missouri, and I loved it. And I also loved this fabric by Henry Glass, the Laugh Love Quilt. And I actually have put a link to some of this manufacturer's fabric on simplycolorful.com. So if you're at all interested, go look at that, click through, buy anything on Amazon, bookmark us, show us some love. It's all right there on the Simply Colorful website. So I thought we would start from the very beginning with this new UFO that will make a delightful spring type of quilt. Carol, if you're out there, I figured I had this. It's good quality fabric. I wasn't going to, I know we had talked about doing some sort of a nautical themed quilt. I'm wondering if I left my, I think maybe I left my electronics somewhere else, so I can't answer any emails. We may have to change that. Sorry, everyone. Anyway, what I was saying was Carol and I had talked about doing this UMass scholarship quilt in a seaside theme. And I like that too, but I had this on hand. And so I think we're going to make this first. But I just heard a ding, and I think my phone is over there. So what I'm going to do is go get it very quickly, because I really want to encourage you to send me pictures of what you're working on so that I can share them with everyone and we can make shout outs. So while I go get my phone, send me a note at lmarquidant@gmail.com, LMARQUEDANT@gmail.com. And I'll be right back. If I can find, oh, you know what? I don't have to go anywhere. It's down below my electronics. It's a good thing this isn't a professional gig, huh? Oh, Chris Myers. Hello, Chris. How are you? I went to Zen Nail Salon today, and it was delightful. We talked about you. Oh, and Chris says she's doing a jigsaw puzzle tonight. I will quilt tomorrow during the snowstorm. That sounds great. I love jigsaw puzzles. Enjoy. That's perfect for FiberCast. We should start a new trend. Imagine if we made our quilts into jigsaw puzzles. That would be cool. Jean is out there. She says, hi, Lynn, happy anniversary. I'm working on a test pattern. Ooh, do tell. I have to. Jean says, I'm working on a test pattern for another designer and trying to convince Christine to buy this, a B&B in Dennis. See you Sunday, she says. I love it. Well, I'll have to check that out, and we'll come back to that. But first, let's dive into this quilt. And thank you for the anniversary wish. I cannot believe it's been 3 years. I feel like a toddler. I'm just coming out of the toddler phase, right? So, Goodnight Irene. I am making the twin size which will end up being 68 by 84. I'm liking the twin size. It's more manageable. I cannot wait to show you my Mary Mayhem twin size quilt. If you need a quick gift, it's a great quilt for that, because you're going to see it's very modern and there's a lot of area where it's just one piece of fabric. You can let the fabric do the work for you and the quilting. So anyway, I'm making a twin size quilt, and I need 4 5-inch packs of print and then 4 5-inch packs of my solid. Now, I don't know, I may have flashed this too quickly. If you can see this, what we're actually going to do is make blocks 16 by 16 squares in a block. And then we're going to make the X here. See, the majority of that is white. So tonight what I'm going to do is make these 16 block squares. They are cut down to 2.5, so then they end up being 2 inches, if that's right. Maybe 2 1/4 inch. I'll figure it out in a minute. But that's what we're going to do, and we're going to do it the Missouri Star Quilt magic way. So Jenny Doan, she has a tutorial. Go look for it. And I'm going to follow this direction. I looked on Amazon to see if Jenny's patterns are on Amazon. They're not. They must just be on her website. Otherwise, I would have linked that too. Oh, I've got all sorts of fabric. These fat quarters, you know, they shed. So I'm going to put 3 aside, and I'm going to put all of the white ones aside for now. I'm going to keep this really simple. And this is fun. Again, this is Henry glass fabric, and it's just perfect for spring. Yoo-hoo! See, very light and airy. I don't know if you can see that very well. I hope you can. There are even some grays, right? So I'm feeling very trendy. Okay, so I have this. Now what it says is, sew 2 seams, pick 2 of these, 2 random squares. So maybe that and this. And already it's not random because I picked a dark and a light, but put them right sides together. And then it says to sew on each side. So that's what I will do. I need a 1/4 inch seam. I changed my needle so it sews well. Oh, and I think what I'll do is after I prove this, I'm gonna, like checking your gauge when you're knitting, I'm gonna check my seam allowance here. And then once I get it right, I'll do this whole pile. So I have my iron right here. Set the seam. Carol, if you're on, this might be interesting. You might not have seen this yet. And for anyone who is a new quilter or is looking for tricks, this is a good trick. So see this I've made, you might wonder what the heck? I've made a tube. Well, now you go to your cutting board and make sure it measures. Okay, so it's a little bit bigger than 5 inches, but as you all know, and poor Kelsey is probably remembering in real time because I sent her off with a quilt, I am not the most precise quilter. So if it's 5 and 5 1/8 inch square, I'm going to leave it be. I'm not going to trim it up. Jean, alternatively, or Deb, or many of you, Wendy, Diane, I know you would trim it up beautifully and it would look better. So do that if you need to. Anyway, now I have this tube, and I'm doing a lot more talking than cutting. Now I put it down, and it does measure, well, it's about 5 inches. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to measure 2.5 inches to the middle. Okay. And then open up my cutter, cut it in two, and then voila, we have this. So what we're going to do is make all of these. I think by the end of this hour, we can go through this one pack and create at least, we'll follow this all the way through to create at least one 16-incher. I think that's doable. And if I see partway through that we're not, then I'll cut us short and we can do 1 16-incher so we see what it looks like. We have a lot of different colors. Okay. Although it is nice to just kind of take it slowly and do it one at a time, but then I use a lot more thread. Oh, but then, yeah, I'm going to keep going. Guess who has started to do in-home yoga? Keep your fingers crossed that this sticks. I'm loving it. I did day 6 today, and it is an online class. Aren't these pretty? I think Kelsey did a tumbler quilt in this very pattern, this very set of fabric, which cracked me up because I had pulled this out and then I saw her post, or she sent a text with the finished. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, yoga, 30-day challenge online. They have beginner and advanced, or beginner and intermediate. I'm doing beginner. I'm doing it right here in the studio on the floor. I have my whole mat and everything. Love it. Some days we do stretching. It's hatha yoga, I guess. Today we focused on neck and shoulders, which is great for those of us who are hanging out over our computers all day long. And I know Chris might win the name challenge tonight if we're not careful. She did the Bikram yoga, the hot yoga. Someday I'll do that. Not right yet. Heck, I'm lucky if I can hold the poses. And I'm not putting myself in danger, but I can tell already you just don't, you can stretch more. Just feel looser. So what have you been doing? What New Year's resolutions or non-resolutions? Are you against resolutions? This is taking me a while because I'm having to pick them. Or do you believe I'm one? I've tried the diet resolution. I've done the Weight Watchers thing. I've been to goal, which was awesome. It's awesome. But I can tell you what's not awesome is gaining the weight back. It's, but that's just me. So I stay fat. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm working on that too. Okay. So let's see. Maybe I'll do one more and then put these together to make sure I know how this is going to work, because it's kind of a cool process. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. Cut the pair in half. Repeat for a total of 42 pairs. Okay. All right, well, why don't we just do 42 pairs then? This is all about following directions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Oh, Chris wrote and told us what kind of yoga. Bikram. Series of 26 poses twice for 90 minutes in a room heated to 105-ish degrees. Wow. Chris says, she used to go twice a week back in the day. Chris, you definitely get the shout out award. She says, this is classic. I'd probably puke if I tried it now. You do crack me up. You could do it. That is amazing. So again, Bikram yoga, for any of you hardy souls out there who want a real big challenge, you do this, it's yoga. You do a series of 26 poses twice over 90 minutes. And the kicker is you're in a room heated to 105 degrees. How is that? Imagine how well you stretch. Oh. I love now, see, comparatively, the yoga I've been doing on day one. Now, again, this is beginner yoga for someone who's never done it before. I knew I had found my exercise of choice, or my meditative journey of choice, when at the end of maybe it was 40 minutes. It might not have been just 29, but at the end they say, now get a blanket, you want to be warm, and put it around you if you want. And we got to just lie on the floor and breathe in and out. I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. So anyway, I almost did that wrong. So again, send me pictures. Tell me what you're doing. Thank you all for your New Year's wishes. It's been great fun to ring in the new year. Bob and I didn't go anywhere. And we did, I think I told you about going to the Patriots game in the rain. Oh, and so Chris mentioned she'll be sewing tomorrow in the snow. It's supposed to snow. We might get a foot of snow here tomorrow. Especially folks down on the Cape. My mother got, I think, 5 inches today. Okay, I'm going to stop doing this part just for the sake of time. This will look scrappy enough. Now I'm going to take my flag. I'm not even going to cut the squares. And I'm going to do the other side. I think I saw Rita over in the Netherlands. I think I saw that you did the Merry Mayhem. Am I right about that? And Colleen, if you're out there, I hope all is well. And thanks for your note about visiting with your grandkids. That's always fun, I suppose. I see my mother visit with them. Of course, it was just as fun for visiting my niece and nephew, as I suppose it is when you're grandparents. I don't know. We're almost there. What I like about these Missouri Star patterns is they're kit-like, is that you can get right to sewing. You don't have to do the cutting, or a lot of the preliminary cutting. It's very manageable. If you want something and you want to feel like you accomplished something, maybe not in 60 minutes like we do here, but in a couple of series of 60 minutes, I highly recommend it. Or then the Color Wheels, Jean and Kelsey, they're putting together some kits that are like this. Oh, and I know what else I wanted to tell everyone about. There's a new book on the market for anyone who is in a quilt guild or runs a quilt guild or who is tasked with coming up with programs for a quilt guild. Stay tuned. I'm going to tell you about a new Kindle book that's now available on Amazon from our friend Dawn Stewart. But first, let me cut these together. So now we have these, and I bet I could even do two at once. So I'm going to set the seam like the tailors do. How's this for, oh, I'm sure you're cringing that I'm going to do this. Okay. 2.5. Look at this. Oh, now I have to cut that 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll cut them all in twos. So since I saw you all last, I did do the Merry Mayhem mystery, and I worked on my It's a Party doll. Remember, I'm doing that with Textile Tarts, and my goal is to have that done by next Saturday when we have our meeting, and hopefully encourage the others who are doing it to keep going. And who knows, maybe a few others will have it done too. And then in the doll making front, I'm going to move right into my Jack Johnston kit that my sister gave me for Christmas. And where the It's My Party doll is paper, made out of paper, sculpted out of paper clay and fabric. The other one, I'm going to use polymer clay. So it'll be interesting to see which one I like better. I think I really need to pick one or the other and try to stick with it for a series of dolls, because they do act differently, and I need to get good at least one of them, if that makes sense. It's kind of like using two different kinds of paint. I think I need to, and there are pros and cons of both, from what I can tell. So, almost done here. And then I want to, the next step is kind of cool. You sew them all together. I hope I've got that right. Well, I'll read it. So how was everyone's week back at work? All right. So there we go. We have a whole bunch of these. Let me go out and see who's there before we go further. Hi, Kelsey. Kelsey says, I'm watching you and working on my second UFO top of the year. I hope I can keep this momentum going. That's great, Kelsey. Check this out. I don't know if you had signed on yet. Didn't you make your tumbler quilt out of these Henry Glass Laugh Live blocks? I thought I recognized it. I love them. So welcome. I'm glad you're there. That is great. Okay, so again, lmarquidon@gmail.com. Let's see who's out there. Hey, Carol Bell. Hi. Carol says, hi, Lynn and FiberCasters. Hope you all have had a good week. She says, I am back to cutting out for the Bonnie Hunter mystery. I love that one. The En Provence. I like it. She says, I have been cutting on it earlier, but I cut out more base triangles than sides, but not doing so bad for somebody who has not used the Tri-Rec tools before. Yes, good for you. She says, hope you do well with the yoga. Not my thing, too much like exercise for me. I love it. She says, oh, this is good. This will be a good new theme. We can talk about exercise. Oh, good. Kelsey sent her picture. So Carol goes on to say, yoga's not her thing, too much like exercise. For me, the closet thing, I get to exercise. The closest thing I get to exercise is running up and down, finding information out from my boss, or walking around shops looking for a bargain. Carol in Yorkshire, England. Isn't that the truth? Can you tell your boss to go get it himself? No, I'm just saying. That's great. Well, that's the thing. This 30-day challenge was so easy the first day. Now they have different instructors, and now it's just great. Seriously, I'm not much into exercise either, and I'm happy with it. Speaking of, I thought this is Sandra in freezing 20-degree Mississippi. Hi, Sandra. She says, hi, Lynn and all. I'm just watching right now. We got 2.5 inches of snow today, so I haven't been out at all. My goodness, I love this. She says, love your new project. May try it too. Fabric is very pretty, isn't it? It really is. She says, I'm crocheting a baby Afghan for our next Cover Girls meeting. Be safe with your snowfall. Hugs, Sandra in freezing Mississippi. Thanks, Sandra. I will. You too. Keep on plugging along. Now, Kelsey, let me see here. Kelsey sent a picture of her Tumblr quilt. Yep, it is. I thought maybe it was. Here is Kelsey's first UFO. She started this at Missouri Star when we were there, I think. So that is great. Well, this is good. Some of the dings we're planning another quilting weekend here. Oh, and Jean did get her Gilmore Girls top done. Oh, I love it, Jean. So for anyone who might not have caught last week, I don't know how, because I know everyone watches all 60 minutes. Actually, this is pretty funny. Did you know most of you stop watching after 30 minutes? I told you it's a sleeping pill. So we're holding off showing you the doll and the Mary Mayhem quilt for a while. It's called a tease in the business. So this is the Gilmore Girls quilt. Jean was telling me about the new episodes 10 years later, 4 episodes, I think, and it's the whole Gilmore Girl cast, and she said it's very good. So KB, if you haven't seen it and you're waiting for Alexa, or if you have seen, I think you did say you've seen it. I hope you enjoy it. That's great. Thanks for sending that, Jean. Awesome. Okay, let's go to, so now we have all of these, what are we calling these? They're not squares. What are they called? Pairs. And now we're supposed to press to the dark side. And we all know about pressing. Press down, don't stretch the fabric. And I did already set the seam, I think, on most of these. Oh, but I didn't cut them all. I have to do these all because the next part is really a good trick. If you've ever been to one of Jenny's trunk shows, she does these really interesting ways of sewing the blocks together. And she uses a little board, and it's like magic. So this is probably the first time I've ever done one of her magic tricks on my own. She makes it look amazing. And what's the worst thing? If I don't follow the magic trick just right, I'll get some other magic to show. Speaking of which, the Mary Mayhem quilt that I made last New Year's Day, I did have to rip out a couple of times. In one of her clues, she says, read this carefully, pay attention, because it's important. You're going to have to rip it out. And sure enough, I thought I paid attention, and then I had to rip it out. Well, that's pretty. I'm also itching. You guys aren't going to believe this. I'm itching to do another scrap quilt again. The one behind me is a scrap quilt. Remember that? We did that as a mystery in year 1. Wow, the time flies. So that was 2014. Hark, who's there? Okay, so we're just putting these all away. I like to iron. Feels funny to cross my body though. It's not very fun for you to watch. But remember what FiberCast is just about: unwinding from the week, doing something that's a little different. Sometimes we cover what this day in history. I can tell you Matt Lauer is celebrating his 20th anniversary on the Today Show. Did everyone see that? With Katie Couric was there all week. 20 years ago. So January 6th, 20 years ago, whatever that was. I can do that math. 96. 97. 2007, 2017. And then next week, the Today Show celebrates its 65th year. And I'm sure I am repeating myself. Oh, but you know what? Before I go any further, I am sorry I did not mention this about the shooting in Turkey. And then just today in Fort Lauderdale in the airport. So my thoughts go out to everyone. It's hard to believe that they keep happening. Or it's beyond my belief, my comprehension. Oh, I like that one too. Okay, and let's just iron these and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now we have this pile. Now it says, match 2 random pairs nesting the seams. So remember, Carol, if you're out there, we were talking about making the seams kiss. Nesting is another way to talk about it. So this seam is going that way. This seam is going that way. So we're nesting them together. We're making them kiss. And the reason we want to do that is to make the points work. Put the top seam facing forward, and your needle and your feed dogs will just cinch that right in to make a good 4-patch seam. Now we do this again. We're going to make a big, long thing of them. So I'm nesting my seam. Yeah, okay. So I read the directions ahead of time, just so you know. But I'm kind of glad I'm not doing too many in advance. I need to make sure I know what I'm doing. I love this time of year for making quilts. How can you not? Chris is going to be working in her basement studio with the snow coming down. Okay. So we just keep cranking along. Kelsey, I'm so proud of you doing your UFOs. I did finish, well, I updated simplycolorful.com with my UFO list, so I added a few more. And I did finish, remember our jelly roll quilt? Here, let me hold this up. It needed to be quilted and bound. So I just quilted in the ditch and I bound it. I haven't put a label on, I will. So this is, I don't know what we'll do with this. Maybe this I'll send over to Wendy. But Wendy, you and I probably need to talk about what we want to accomplish. Whether we want to, do we want to comfort someone? Do we want to make money for cancer research? It's up to you, whatever you would like. Okay, so if you're all interested in what my UFOs are, to keep me honest, they're on Simply Colorful. But more importantly, there's a link to All People Quilt, and you can get your own printout of the 12 items so that you too can knock off some UFOs. It feels so good. Like this is expensive fabric that I bought with every intention of using. But then again, you know what? So what? Half the fun is buying the fabric. But it does feel good if you feel like sewing, finishing different projects. Oh, and KB, if you're out there, she might not be. Karen might be, my sister, might be mattress shopping. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell people that, but she wrote me and said she might not be on. But if you are on KB, I discovered that the Hangouts online now allow for multiple people. So I think maybe we have cracked the code for how you and I can do a FiberCast together on Patreon and invite other Patreon folks on the line with us. And then what that will allow us to do is we could maybe make a quilt together. And then literally all of us on the Hangout share what we have done in real time. That would be really fun, wouldn't it? Okay. So now we have sewn pairs together. Believe it or not, we're going to sew them all together into one long strip. Told you, Jenny works magic. Deb, if you're out there, Deb Murphy, although I don't think you watch for a whole bunch of reasons, not the least of which is I know it's only 5 o'clock around San Diego when we start this. KK, hello. Speaking of San Diego, I hope you and family are well. Sue Norton, I love your sanctuary that you're creating in your sewing room. I love your new chair. Carol Bell, I love that you are dialing in from the UK. Okay, now, see this? Now let me see what it says next. Match 2 random pairs, nesting seams, sew them together, crossing the seams. Continue adding pairs in this fashion, creating one long strip. No need to press yet. Okay. All right, so we are just going to keep nesting, right? And we'll keep flag piecing, because why not? It's efficient and we save thread. Do you know, I have been waiting for my West Virginia fabric and it still hasn't arrived. To make sure this is random. I did get a note saying that it had shipped from the factory to Amazon's distribution center. That's going to be the back of my Merry Mayhem quilt. And it's for our nephew, Drew. And like I say, if you have to make a gift, this Merry Mayhem is the way to go. So why don't I show you Merry Mayhem after this. I have 2 more seams. Isn't that so pretty? Okay, so now I have sets of 8 sewn together, and I still don't have to press it. And I'm going to sew these together again. I'm psyched all the nesting seams are working. I must be following it right so far. Totally random. Ooh, that's going to match up exactly. I don't want that. Okay, we're getting there. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now we have these really long. I'm going to keep sewing all 3 together. And this is so long, I don't even have to pull that apart. I can just do this. Do you ever do that? I'll show you what I mean. When your flag piecing gets so long that you make loops, you don't even have to, or you're joining multiples. Okay, so now we have one long strip. And before we figure out what to do next, I want to show you the Merry Mayhem quilt, and then I want to see who's out there. Okay, so again, this is the New Year's Eve Merry Mayhem mystery quilt. And Carol helped me pick out the fabric. See how they just float? There are 4 of them in the twin size quilt. 4 of these 16-inch squares. And then look at all the extra fabric that we'll just do some quilting around. Won't we, Chris or Kelsey? And that's it. And imagine if instead of yellow, maybe I had used a darker blue. There's so many combinations. Rita out there, I believe, did hers with scraps. Actually, the pattern shows it with scraps. I have not seen one that I didn't like. So highly recommend this pattern. That's Merry Mayhem. Okay. So who's out there? And then we will figure out how to cut this and then make our 16 patch. And we will do that by the end of FiberCast. Because oh, Wendy, speaking of Wendy. Hello, Wendy. She says, hi, Lynn and everyone. Firstly, I love your Goodnight Irene quilt. I will add it to the list. Good, good. For anyone who might have just joined us, there's Goodnight Irene. My dad used to always say Goodnight Irene every night when we went to bed when I was young. And secondly, Wendy says, thank you for the lovely Christmas card. It was such a lovely surprise. Oh, good. She says, I have made a few more scrappity doodah blocks for Charlotte, but mainly reorganizing my sewing room with storage drawers, etc. It is the time of year, isn't it? I bought a few storage cubbies myself. I also have decided to do a makeover in my lounge room. Did I lose you for a while? Hopefully you're still there. Sorry about that. Oh my goodness, Wendy. Oh, I love the brown. Oh, you hot ticket. So here is, Wendy sent us a picture. Yoga, it would be in knots, yes. Wendy says, have a great weekend, everyone. We have rain, so it's a good start for our nearly empty dam, Wendy. Yes. So here's the question, Fibercasters out there. If you wanted to make a lounge room into a more user-friendly family room, what lighter color might you suggest Wendy put on that accent wall? Now, FiberCast won't always be showing on that wall. I love that. I love that, though. Well, let's see what people say. I am big into the grays. I think that's a big trend. Maybe that's almost over, that trend. Do you have Benjamin Moore down under? I love Benjamin Moore. Carol. Hello, Carol. She says, hi, Lynn. Happy anniversary. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing how the Goodnight Irene pattern will work with the pretty fabric you've picked out. Thanks for the sewing tip. We'll try it on my next project. She says, I am making progress on my McCall's 1893 9 patch tonight. Good for you. She says, I think I goofed up on my choice of colors. They are not matching as well as I envisioned. Oh, well, happy sewing. Oh, please don't give that another thought. It always works. I promise you. And new patterns emerge that you never knew were going to. Maureen in Pennsylvania, hello, ding. She says, Maureen says, I'm cutting 1.5 by 1.5 inch squares for my Guild Postage Stamp Challenge. And for my resolution, always the same, get organized. Good job, Maureen. And I suspect it's because you're very healthy all year long. You don't have to do the whole re-sign up for the gym. Okay, so Dawn Stewart, speaking of Dawn Stewart, our new author, she says, while you are sewing, I am knitting a hat. I make them for charity. She says, I'm also celebrating my newly published book, The Quilt Guild Companion for Every Quilter. So excited. Tomorrow, I am layering a quilt to finish. I have 3 tops that need quilting, so I won't be bored for a while. Amen. Sending smiles, Dawn. No, you won't. And I'm so glad you brought up the publication of this Dawn's latest book. Dawn, I put it on the front page of Simply Colorful. This and your 300 Tips book. People can just link right there and buy the Kindle. You can buy it. I noticed that it's in pounds also. They're offering it over in the UK. So, of course, I'm sure Amazon offers lots of products, but you can download it. And here is the best part about this particular book that really spoke to me as someone who has done guild activities before. Dawn's book, The Quilt Guild Companion, features 30 guild activities, 21 raffle quilt inspirations, and 33 challenge quilt ideas. The book will teach us how to efficiently run and promote a quilt guild, increase membership, and what to include in a newsletter and website, and how to arrange fundraising events. So highly recommend that. And actually, I will take a look at it, Wendy, and I'll see what I can find out for our charity quilt. I'll send you email one-on-one. We don't have to. So Dawn, glad you're there. Oh my goodness, Diane Wilson, hi. How is your jar quilt going? Oh, look at you. Diane sent us some cool pictures. There's that. Look at what you're doing. Oh, that is neat. In the background there. Oh, a new bag. That's something we should do this year, a bag. Okay, somehow the pictures are going over the words. Okay, so hi, Diane. We'll come back to that. Linda Griffin, Brown Bag Mystery. She says, good evening, Lynn. I was hoping you could help me. I would like to change up some of the colors on my own brown bag mystery quilt. I was hoping if you used EQ7, you could forward the template to me. Absolutely, I would be happy to. And I would love to see your new colors. I'm so glad that you're inspired. I will send it to you. And I can't wait to see what you do. She says, tonight I was working on my HQ Sweet 16, but had to stop so I could hear your broadcast. Oh, and the dang machine is so noisy. I know. You know what I discovered? Because I have the same issue, is sometimes when I'm doing something loud and I can't hear, I take this and I put the earbuds in, and I put the earbuds right in my head, and I actually put this in my bra. There's too much information, I know. And I can hear things that I haven't over loud loud things. Anyway, Linda G says, say hi to family and all the FiberCast gang for me. Right back at you. Thanks for being there. Okay. As tempting as it is to keep going, I want to show you the finished part of this so that for those of you who might want to try it at home, you can. So now we have this long piece. Now, oh, I guess I do have to iron a few. Well, 60 minutes goes like that. What is up with that? Okay. Starting at the far left. No, it doesn't really tell me. I guess I could spin the seams. No need to press yet. Oh, you know what? I'm still not going to press. That's right. Okay. The reason I'm not going to press is we want it folded because we're going to cut it. So see this first one? We put it down and we cut 2.5 inches in. And voila, we have a 4-patch. We do have 2 patch that we're going to set aside. Once we do this all the way down, we'll have another 2 patch at the other end. Right? So here I am. Now I haven't ironed it, so that folds over. And I'm able to cut another 4-patch. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to cut 4 of them and then put it together in our final patch. If we have enough variety. I'd have to go a few more. Another 4-patch. See what we're doing? This is all from those 5-inch square packs. There's another. We do. I'll do one more. Because then what I like about this pattern too is it tells us how to iron them. Okay, so see, I still have many left, and you just keep going down. Cut, fold, cut, fold. Okay. So, oh, and I have to show you my doll too. Okay, I'll do that after we do the 4-patch. Okay. Now, select 4 random blocks. There, 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 and there. Okay. Now what do we do? Lay them onto a 2-inch grid. Keep the last seam sewn in a vertical orientation. What? Wait a second. So it still hasn't told me to press these. Sew blocks in row 1 together, nesting seams. Okay. So that I've done up, that down. Okay. So there and there, I'm nesting the seams, making sure, can you see that? Oh, sorry, folks. This is the good news about this pattern is it literally shows you which way the seam should go. But I don't know why some of them don't. Let's see. Oh boy. All right. Well, forget the seam thing for now. Huh. I don't have enough squares, but I do want to show you how this works. And this is where I'm going to web these squares together. Make it go even faster, right? Remember webbing? So now we have these two. We open them up. And again, this is our first 16 patch of our Goodnight Irene block. Oh, and I'm already going to have, I was going to have seams that are going to match. So or two blocks that were exactly the same. Well, I hope you've gotten into your flow a little bit, whether you were working on your hats. I love how a lot of you work on charity projects or gifts. I love that you're around the world. I thank you for joining me. And my prayers go out to everyone down in Orlando. Ha! I still had some matching. But there is our 16 squares. And next week, we'll keep going on the X's. And when I'm off camera, in addition to that, I will be finishing up my doll. She is It's My Party doll. So she's made, and of course she doesn't have hair yet, but she's made out of paper clay. And she has pantaloons and she has boots and she can stand and she might have Tibetan lamb's wool hair next week. My sister gave me this and I'm loving it, but maybe not for this doll, but for some doll very soon. And with that, I hope that you forgot all your toils and tribulations for at least a few minutes. Thanks for joining me here on FiberCast. I so appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. And I'll see you here next Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. Bye, everyone.